So with end behavior, this is just talking about the behavior of our graph as x approaches infinity or as x approaches negative infinity. So in terms of x approaching infinity, that means that our x values are going to the right. So we're going to the right on our graph. And x approaching negative infinity is x going to the left of our graph. So I've broken it apart here into x to the power of 1, x to the power of 3, and then x to the power of 2 and x to the power of 4. And so I kind of group these by degrees that are odd and in degrees that are even. And we'll see the similarities between the two here. So if we look at first x to the power of 1 and x to the power of 3, as our x's go to the right on these first two, so that would be as x approaches infinity, we see our y values are also increasing as our arrow goes up. So that means f of x will be approaching positive infinity. And then on the other hand, as x approaches negative infinity, or as x goes to the left, our y values are decreasing and our arrow is going down. So f of x is approaching negative infinity. And so using the same pattern for all odd degree polynomials, we will see that the end behavior will be the same. As x approaches infinity, f of x approaches infinity. As x approaches negative infinity, f of x will approach negative infinity. And so likewise, this will also hold true for even degree polynomial functions, except the difference is our arrows are going to be the same. So again, with x to the power of 2 and x to the power of 4, as our x approaches infinity for both of these, or as our x goes to the right, we are approaching positive infinity because we're going up on the right. So we'll say as x approaches infinity, f of x also approaches infinity. And then the difference between odd and even degree functions is that as we approach negative infinity on an even function, even degree function, our f of x will also be approaching infinity. So as x approaches negative infinity, f of x approaches positive infinity because both the arrows are pointing the same way. So if it is an odd degree, you're going to have one positive, one negative infinity for f of x. And then if it is even and positive, that means you're going to have both approaching infinity. And so this is if we have a leading coefficient here that is a positive number. We have nothing in front here, and that's why that's the way it is. Now, if we have a negative coefficient in front of our polynomial here, we see for x, negative x to the power of 1 and negative x to the power of 3, as x approaches infinity, things now switch. F of x will be approaching negative infinity. So again, as x approaches infinity, f of x will be approaching negative infinity. And then, as x approaches negative infinity, f of x will be approaching positive infinity. So when we have that negative coefficient, things kind of flipped between our original with a positive coefficient. So we'll have x approaching, not infinity, negative infinity. F of x will approach positive infinity. And then again, similarly, with our negative coefficient with our even degree polynomials, as x goes to the right or as x approaches infinity, f of x will approach negative infinity for both x approaching infinity and negative infinity. So again, both of our arrows are going to be pointing the same way. We're going to have two of the same. So as x approaches infinity, f of x approaches negative infinity. And then as x approaches negative infinity, f of x also approaches negative infinity. And so a quick way to remember this as an organizer, if we have an odd degree, and then if we have an even degree, we can also split that up between positive and negative. Oops. If it's odd positive, we're going to have two arrows going in opposite directions. The one on the right is going to be going up. The one on the left is going to be going down. And in negative, we just flip things. So the one on the left is going to be going up. The one on the right is going to be going down. And then even, both your arrows are going to be going the same direction. If it's positive, they will both be going up. And if it's negative, they will both be going down.